Brothers and sisters of the chapter, this is Screws and Studs, and it has been a very, very wild ride through the review of the Adeptus Custodes line. I'll have to say that I enjoyed pretty much every single second of these reviews, as I have been impressed with nearly every single one of the offerings that JoyToy has given us. And we are unfortunately on the last offering, which is going to be the Adeptus Custodes with the Castellan Axe. And I'm pretty sure that JoyToy is going to be continuing the high level of quality that we have seen all throughout the whole entire line. So there's nothing to do but actually to take a look at that quality.
Nothing to do but to open. Unveiling the last one. Ta-da! And now we have the last Adeptus Custodes to review, and this one has the Castellan Axe. But before we get to the axe, let's get to the main body of this action figure itself. We always start off with the helmet, and we will do so. So looking at the helmet, it looks like there is really nothing different from what we have seen before from the rest of the two action figures. You have a nice depth on these lenses. You have this blue gem that's in the middle of this helmet, and then you have this Baroque iconography that is on the helmet itself right here with this icon here and this earpiece. And moving on to the top, there is the eagle that we have seen on the rest of the two action figures, so I won't really focus in on it too much. And then we are going to take a look at the pauldrons, and these pauldrons are actually different from the Vexillus Praetor as well as the Shield Captain, but you still have the characteristic blue gem here and then the radiating arrows from that gem. And as you can see here, there is a ton of edge highlighting going on over here with the pauldron, which is all throughout the whole entire Adeptus Custodes line. I like these little leather ribbons that are attached to this pauldron. You get to see this nice maroon color as well as some steel-colored rivets, I suppose, at the end of it. These things actually remind me of a Roman gladiator's loincloth here that mimics the ultramarine. So this is on all four sides of this action figure. We'll take a look at the arms as well as the gauntlets. Everything is pretty much the same from his predecessors. So we're going to move on to this chest piece here. This chest piece is also the same, as you can see, but there is actually a slight difference because you can see this little eagle's beak right here. We're going to flip over and take a look at this ballistic grenade launcher. And this grenade launcher, again, is similar to the rest of his Custodes brethren. So you got the end of the grenade launcher, and this is the magazine, I suppose, for the grenades. So one thing that actually is different is this loincloth, is what I'm going to call it. And you get the same relative feel on this loincloth area. You've got this icon here, the double aquila, and then the characteristic tassels that we've seen. And then there's very nice gemming down here with the round blue gems and the red diamond gem. And I really like the tie-in with the Ultramarines with this leather kind of strap area that actually matches up top too. So there's a nice cohesiveness with this action figure. We're going to flip this around, take a quick look at the back of it, and the back of it is also very similar to the Shield Captain. So you've got these laurels and wreaths, the same center icon. The leather belt that attaches to the Misericordia is a little bit different. So you've got this kind of V-shaped here with these leather straps and this chain here that kind of just hangs out for absolutely no reason whatsoever. All right, let's put the action figure down. Take a look at the tassel. The tassel, once again, is the same, and this is all across the whole entire line. There is shading, there is normal color of red here, and there is yellow highlighting all throughout this tassel. And as I said before, I think this is actually one of my favorite parts on the action figure. So I'm going to put this down, pick up this Misericordia. And I believe that the Misericordia is also different from the rest of his brethren, so this could be a unique kind of look, especially with the scabbard area. I do recognize the double eagle that's all throughout the rest of the Custodes line. And as I'm going to point out, this is something that you can pull out and is a monochrome gunmetal color. And flip it around is pretty much the same. So it's nice that this is actually a very functional piece right here. All right, let's pick up the end of the Castellan Axe. This actually mimics the end of the Guardian Spear. You've got the double eagle heads and this wicked looking spear end. So the only thing that is actually very, very different on this action figure is this Castellan Axe. Would you look at the blade of this thing? It is absolutely insane and huge. You could probably cleave a lot of demon heads, a lot of orc heads with this one. And this also does mimic the look of the Guardian Spear. So you've got the edge that's been painted a translucent blue, and that migrates to the characteristic gunmetal that we've seen all across the Space Marine line, and then finally progresses to the gold on the eagle's feathers right here. And this eagle also is what we have seen before in the past on the shield captain. This other end of the axe we have also seen on the spear, and it mimics the end of the spear 100%, like you see over here. Then I'm going to assume that this is the magazine for the Castellan Axe, but this magazine is actually fused into place. We cannot pull this off, so I can take a look at it. So in the last two videos on the Adeptus Custodes, I did not go into the articulation too much, but as these are kind of new action figures, I'm going to get into a little bit. So with the head, you actually aren't able to rotate this thing 360 degrees, mainly because it's so recessed in this area. So I think the maximum amount of movement that you get is probably a little less than 180 degrees, as you can see me move this thing around. But you do get a lot of up and down motion and left to right from this head. Now this assembly here is completely different from what we've seen. The pauldrons on the Space Marines are actually attached to this arm area, and this pauldron actually is attached to the shoulder itself. I believe that there is a ball and socket mechanism in here, but I haven't actually taken apart this action figure to take a look at it, but that's when I'm going to assume that's the case. So you get to move this pauldron back and forth and a little bit up and down, as you can see. The arms here, you can move pretty much 360 degrees. So I'm going to move this around like that. So it's a little bit hard to maneuver, but you can actually get this thing to go around 360 degrees. Like so. And then about this area right here is another joint. You can move this 360 like so. And as you can see, the pauldron just fell off, so you can now see exactly what it is. So just like what I suspected, it is a ball and socket joint that is completely separate from this whole entire arm assembly. And it looks a little bit weird in my opinion without the pauldron. So as I said, this is now 360 degree free rotating. And just like with the Space Marine Brethren, you get double joints right here. So you got one here, then you can move it in closer. The wrist is 360 degrees and with a lot of rotating motion, as you can see. And then you have a pretty large ball and socket joint down here. You can rotate this 360 as well. And let's see what we can exactly do with this leg area. So we can kick this out 90 degrees, can go back. And I'm sure that there is going to be some degree of motion, but the motion is actually blocked by this cape. So this definitely can be kicked further back here if you really wanted to, but the cape's in the way. And then with the knee area, it's double jointed just like the elbow. So you can bend it in here and then bend it further back. So you can see there's a joint here and a joint here. So about the foot area, as you can see, I accidentally popped this thing off. There's a good amount of like wobble motion. And this is also a ball and socket joint. And the toes are able to do this just like his Space Marine brethren. So you can have a lot of crazy dynamic poses with this one. Oh, but wait, we are not done yet. Your Chapter Master Sprues and Studs has a little bit of bonus content. And I'm sure that you are now going to be wondering exactly how tall is this compared to his other Imperial brethren. So the first thing that we're going to do is compare this Custodes to your regular Space Marine. And in the lore, Space Marines are about 7 to 8 feet tall. Custodes are anywhere between, I believe, 8 to 9 feet tall. So let's see if JoyToy actually kept the scale correct. So, taking a look at this, yes, there is a massive difference between the height of the Custode and your regular Space Marine. Let's put this up close, and it looks like the the Space Marine is an absolute dwarf compared to his larger and fancier Emperor's finest. Look at how big this Custodian is compared to the Space Marine. So we'll put the Space Marine aside, and we will compare this massive transhuman next to a regular human being. And what regular human being we have? We have the Imagifier over here, which is a regular Battle Sister. And look at the size difference between the Battle Sister and the Custodian. The Battle Sister is pretty much up to the bottom of this Custodes chest, so you can see how big this action figure is compared to the rest of the Imperial line. And now we will wrap this one up.
No more Adeptus Custodes to review. But we still have to focus at the task at hand, which is to conclude this brilliant lineup of action figures. We have seen the nice Baroque golden armor, the insane eagle iconography that pervades the whole entire lineup of these action figures. We have seen Misericordias. We have seen grenade launchers. We have seen beautiful tassels as well. So the only thing that's really different on this action figure obviously is going to be the Castellan Axe over here. And even then, we've already seen a lot of this in the Shield Captain as well as the Vexillus Praetor. What I really like about this thing is this gigantic axe blade over here. It is literally probably 3, 4, even 5 feet across. It is a very insane and very imposing looking thing, just like all Adeptus Custodes weaponry. So again, I really like the transition from this translucent blue to the gunmetal, all to the gold. And I really just like how the eagle feathers are here at the end of it. So I think JoyToy always does a fantastic job of mimicking Games Workshop miniatures, and this is absolutely no exception to that rule. I just hope and pray JoyToy keeps the level of detail up in every single one of these action figures going forward. And speaking of going forward, we will be filling the void of the Adeptus Custodes with the plethora of things that JoyToy is going to be coming out later in the future. So look for reviews on the Sisters of the Bloody Rose, as well as the Ardent Shroud, and we're going to be taking a look at the Paragon Warsuit not too long, and if you haven't missed it, there's going to be Tempestus Scions, as well as Celestine coming out pretty soon, which is absolutely fantastic. I cannot wait to get in these action figures. I love them all. So this is Spruce and Studs. Thank you again for watching. I love the support that I've been getting. I know you guys have been eating up the Adeptus Custodes content, and I will be giving you more in-depth content such as this. So stay tuned, and I will see you all in the next one.